Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley, Stevie Nicol here as well. And if that wasn't enough, we also welcome Nader Manua to the show. I tell you what, some good games in the Premier League this weekend, mainly because they don't involve Arsenal. Let's start, shall we, by looking ahead to the clash tomorrow. Manchester United taking on Spurs. And who would have thought what world we have walked into where everybody believes that Manchester United are going to get the victory at Old Trafford tomorrow. Nadim, as a blue Mancunian, I imagine you've seen quite a few United fans suddenly putting their heads above the parapet these days.
Honestly, I thought they had a massive fan base beforehand, but wow, in recent weeks, it's astonishing. We're talking about maybe half the earth. But yeah, fair play to them. They're happy. The team's doing well. They've got a former player in there that's doing well. They've won games against Arsenal, against City. So the energy's up. And I think that game last week to sort of score a winner as late as Sesko did, then yeah, the vibes are absolutely high. Whereas from the Spurs perspective, you know, they're still having questions about Thomas Frank and so on. So I've seen this before as a positive for United fans. It feels like they're mostly back for right now. And if anything, between now and the end of the season, their route to success is far clearer than anyone else's. They have X amount of games left, nothing more to play for. So I expect them to win this game and, you know, in some ways, potentially quite comfortably.
It's not just the results. That's a big part of it, obviously. Yeah. The way that, not how they've played, although it's been more energetic, it's been more dynamic, it's been more pacey. They've got the results, obviously. A little bit more fortuitous last time out when it looked as if it was going to go, they were going to drop a couple of points. But just the fact that this drab manager is not there anymore. If you look at the last 3 games of Amorim, when it was falling off a cliff, obviously it's nearly double the points, more than double the goals, more than double the attempts. If you like XG, that's up. And the distance covered, so they're working a little bit harder as well. And when you take into account the 3 games, his last 3 games was Wolves, Newcastle and Burnley. No? Producer, Mike, tell me. He's told me earlier. Wolves, Newcastle and somebody. Leeds. And then Michael Carrick's first games were Man City, Arsenal and Fulham, much more difficult teams. Then they have got a bit of momentum. And you know, whilst they had those numbers for Amorim at the end were indicative of his time, they were against weaker opposition, and all he did after it was bemoan. They just needed something. And thus far, Michael Carrick has gone in, kept it relatively simple. They've played better. He's made good substitutions. I'm thinking Cunha coming on 2 occasions and changing the game. And everybody's just been up for it. So you can't ask for any more. There's a little bit of passion, a little bit of belief, and there's not somebody walking about on a daily basis who is the go-to guy, the manager, and when the manager's walking about and it's all doom and gloom, what do you expect from the players? So it's been much better, everything, work rate, goals, chances, centre-halves defending, full-backs in the full-back area, everything you could ask for Michael Carrick thus far has gone well. Now, it may just be like Man United.
Yeah, Monday we could be sat here.
It may just be like Man United to come up against a Tottenham team that are decimated with injuries and whose league form has been pretty dire. But it could be 4 out of 4 in terms of a start for Michael Carrick in terms of wins, and that for the boardroom, who must be going like that at the moment. In some sense, this is a relief because this could have gone horribly wrong. If it's 4 out of 4, it has been a magnificent start.
I mean, there's a possibility that they don't win this game, but I don't envision us sitting here on Monday if they do lose, talking about what a disaster it was and how they weren't putting the effort in and all of those things. I just don't see that happening. And we always talk about it's one thing to have ability, but what goes on inside your head is just as important.
Right.
And there's no question that Manchester United players, and don't get me wrong, this is not the Manchester United of 10 years ago, whatever it is, but what's going on between their ears is a freedom to actually play, and they're enjoying themselves. And any footballer who's enjoying playing will run till his legs collapse. If you're enjoying it that much, you will give every single last ounce. And Casemiro's probably the best example of that. come off last weekend, he could hardly walk off the field. But it's just a different ball game. So I don't envisage coming in here Monday, Sunday, whenever it is, and talking about
Tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow, talking about how this team is just a shadow of what we think Man United are. I just don't see it
Well,
happening.
you got Casemiro, who's announced he's leaving at the end of the season,
Yeah.
but it looks as if he's actually happy to be there now.
Aye.
It looked, you know, when you think about what he's won in the game, and then he realised himself that he was struggling, but he was getting thrown under the bus. And it looked as if it was affecting him. Even for somebody with his experience, having played at the Bernabeu, under that pressure, and you well know that. Now he looks as if he's enjoying himself. He's got that extra step because he
Well,
thinks...
he's only got one job now.
Yeah, and
He used to have 2 and 3 jobs.
well, particularly if Agarty was in there as well. And then Bruno Fernandes in beside him.
Garnacho.
If you put Fernandes beside him, which was the case,
Yes.
and you know we brought this up a lot on the show, you've basically got an attacking midfielder, stroke number 10, as your midfield partner. So when he goes missing, as he would, not in a bad sense, but goes to join in attacks and does stuff, there's an even bigger hole for a 30-something to cover. And so Kobe Mainoo comes in, who might not be everybody's cup of tea, but he's a natural central midfielder and he's a little bit more, should be more adept at the positional sense of the game, as well as a decent passer. All of a sudden they've got a better balance. And, you know, one of those players wasn't wanted, Kobe Mainoo. Casemiro looks more comfortable, and as you know, we've talked about it, the head scratcher was Bruno Fernandes not playing further forward. So it's just freed, at this moment, it's sort of freed everybody up. And we said it when they signed these players. They're not a perfect side, as Stevie said. They're not championship material. They're far from it. But when they signed Sesko, Cunha and Mbemo, at least, they were better than they were. And they should have been better than they were. Because those are good players, particularly the job Mbemo's done since he's came in. And I think thus far, Carrick's, you know, again, it's early, just realised it shouldn't be difficult. Round pegs and round holes. That's back to the basics of every sport and every manager and every team. When you start chucking Szoboszlai at right back as Liverpool have and all these things, it just brings problems up. Round pegs and round holes, and that's what Michael Carrick has done at the moment.
Stevie mentioned the psychology of it, Nedum. You've had your fair share of bad runs. When things turn around, as they have for United over the last few weeks, it must just be night and day, just simple things like going to training, having lunch.
Yeah, going to training is a big thing, but what I would say is even bigger is getting a chance to go and play at Old Trafford with a positive atmosphere there. You know, when you've got 70,000 people there, they're excited to watch their team, as opposed to 70,000 turn up and wondering when it's going to go wrong again. Because that place itself, obviously, it's only been 3 games. But the positivities there, you saw before the game last week, they had all the flags out in the Stretford end. Players were like Dallerwood bringing their children out onto the pitch before the game, and there were smiles there. They were excited for a game of football, whereas previously there was almost this cloud that was over them. And I think that stuff can make a difference. And, you know, to call it what it is, like, in my opinion, like, Ruben Amorim leaving, it's like addition through subtraction. Because in reality, when we look back at his records through that time at United, yes, he could end up being a great manager in years to come, but he was awful for them. I think the fact that, you know, he stuck with the formation, nobody was buying into it, was always a discussion. They were one of the most inconsistent teams you could see. You know, losing that final last year, finishing where they finished last year. And then somebody comes in and all of a sudden, the morale seems higher. Players, as guys are saying, are playing in their better positions. You're seeing a side now who want to sort of attack at speed. You're seeing individual players' quality, and you see them going to try and attack and get at teams with a sense of confidence. Like, these are the same players that were there a month ago who were being doubted and being spoken about in such a negative manner. So I think, yeah, from a United standpoint, they're getting a feel of what it could be like to play for them in a positive moment. And obviously these moments don't necessarily last forever, but I'm sure for those guys who are going to go and be playing at the weekend, they know what their setup is, they know what their roles are, and they know that the style of football they're going to play is something which they want to get the fans up off their seats, which unfortunately for United hasn't been for a long time.
I bet they're back to loosening the salt at the lunch tables.
Oh, messing around.
You know that one, the oldest one in the book. Get the drinks.
How excited he is by that.
You get the plastic drink cups. You get the one at the top. You cut the bottom out of it.
I know. It's so happy. I tell you who isn't happy at the moment.
Fun.
Spurs. No fun at Spurs.
When last was there fun at Spurs?
Look at their Premier League record this calendar year. It is so horrendous. Yet to win a game. Obviously, there's been second half showings.
Champions League, son.
Yes, obviously Champions League. Well, that's a discussion for another day. But that is disgusting for a Spurs side, of course, who always have higher hopes than maybe they should. But even so, it's not where they want to be. And what's interesting, we saw this in the City game, didn't we? This game of two halves that we've seen on more than one occasion for Tottenham Hotspur this season. Abysmal in the opening 45 minutes, kind of get it together a bit after the break. Now, how do you explain it? Who is to blame for that?
Do you know what? I honestly couldn't tell you in this one. This one seems like it's more of a deep-rooted thing, and I think also as we get towards, this final stretch of the season, they've also been very good away from home, which again I don't understand. I think some of the inconsistencies, we've seen some teams who are around mid-table who also have those. And I think that game last week against Man City, like the first half was as bad as you could possibly imagine. And you'd like to think there'd be a reaction. But also, you're playing at home. Maybe start well, get the crowd behind you from the get-go. And you never know which way that game could have gone. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a happy place at the moment. But then, as I say, the complete opposite side of it is like they finished fourth or whatever in the Champions League phase. How does that work for a team that's struggling so much? So it's very hard to put your finger on. Obviously, the captain himself and Romero's got some issues. Other players have got issues. I'm not sure if the fan base are fully attached to Thomas Frank as being the best manager for them. But somehow they just, I don't know, they keep ticking over. And who knows, maybe this game for them tomorrow against United is a good chance for them to continue that really good away record. Because if it's a defeat and it's another game this year where they haven't won, then again, the questions about Frank arise all over again.
It really is. It really is simple. Away from home, they don't feel the pressure. And there's probably less expectation. We've all just sat and given our predictions. Nobody's giving Spurs a hope.
Right.
But this is probably the type of game where they might do something because they don't have the pressure at home. There's nothing worse than walking on the field at home and before there's a ball kick, you can feel it.
Right.
So when you go away from home...
You've got nothing to lose almost a little.
It's almost, and it's kind of... Look, there's 11 of us on the field. We need to stick together today. We're away from home. And somehow that kind of galvanises you. But there's no question. Other than the pressure at home, it's down to the manager. At the end of the day, we're not quite...
So what's he doing wrong?
Well,
What's he doing at half-time that he's not doing at the start of the game? Like, how do you explain it?
Well, you can't explain it.
Right.
At least under Ange, we knew exactly what we were going to see. Now, whether you think that's right or wrong, the players know it, the fans know it, everybody knows exactly how they're going to play. Under Thomas Frank, we have no idea, and I couldn't sit here in all honesty and tell you, what's this team trying to do? Do they want to put balls in from wide areas? Do they want to try and go through the middle? Do they sit back and try and counter? I don't know, because every time they step on the field, they do something different. That's got inconsistent written all over it, particularly at home.
So at Brentford, it's okay for him to play this counter-attacking, small club mentality, bang for your buck, using the data to sign the players, as they did, and did very well, and utilise the pace of, first it was Ivan Toney, and then it was Mbeumo and Visa, and play that kind of style. And as Stevie mentioned, that's okay away from home. Your fans can accept that. You go away from home, you're a bit coy, you have a good shape, and then you maybe play a bit of counter-attacking. I mean, not if you're City and Arsenal and Liverpool and teams like that, but if you're other teams in the league, that's kind of how you go about it, particularly when you play teams that are stronger than you. But I think what they've done, they've been sucked into that kind of mindset at home. But not only have they played defensive, they haven't played the majority of their first halves with any great pace about their team. They've sat off teams. They sat off Villa in the FA Cup. That was a game that I did. They sat off this Tottenham team, and it was embarrassing in the first half. You mentioned it. And what changes is there is nowhere else to go. It is, you go in at half-time, the crowd are baying for blood, they want the manager sacked. Every time the players play a sideways or backwards pass, they're getting booed. And so, out of desperation, they basically come out and chuck all the mud at the wall and see what they can get. Now, that's not got any staying power. It just hasn't. Yet the best teams come out and do that from the start and try and get the game by the scruff of the neck. And I feel Tottenham have got back into games because other teams have taken the foot off the gas a little bit and they've realised there's going to be a lynch mob waiting on them when they go to the car park.
Right.
Because it's been so bad at times. And so therefore you kind of expect in a lot of these games the second halves are going to be better because they couldn't have been any worse. The big question is, can they have a 90 minutes of football that's productive and sustainable going forward under this manager? That's the big question, because what he was expected to do at Brentford, and by the way, with a poorer squad, they're playing better football now, Brentford, than what Thomas Frank was, and they're actually playing a good style of football. But what he was expected of there is not what he's expected of at Tottenham Hotspur, whether they're the most successful club or not, which they're not.
And it's not changing this season. We're in February.
We've
been talking the same thing, and we're actually in between now and the end of the season.
Nathan mentioned it, Cristian Romero's comments that he made after that draw against Manchester City have made headlines. So he said, great effort from all my teammates yesterday. They're incredible. I wanted to be available to help them even though I wasn't feeling very well, especially since we only had 11 players available. Unbelievable, but true and disgraceful. We'll keep showing up and taking responsibility to turn this around, working hard and staying together. All that's left is to thank all of you for being there and for always supporting us. Now, this isn't the first time that Romero has hit out pretty much at the board. At January, he said after that 3-2 loss against Bournemouth, posts other people only show up when things are going well to tell a few lies. After we saw Thomas Frank appointed in his post for Ange Postecoglou, saying paved the way despite the many obstacles that always existed and always will. And you go back to 2024, he criticised the lack of spending at Spurs, saying it's always the same. First the players, then the coaching staff changes, and it's always the same people responsible. Thomas Frank was, of course, asked about this today.
Leadership is many things. Leadership is, I'm 52 years old. I think I'm pretty good at leadership. Can I get better every single day? Yes. Do I make mistakes? Maybe not every single day, but probably weekly. Romero is 27 years old. He will still make mistakes going forward as a leader. Does he do a lot of good things? Yes.
You said make a mistake, don't make the same mistake twice. And where do you draw the line?
I think sometimes someone do more than one mistake, and we've dealt with it internally.
Does that actually matter to you, whether he's happy or not with the club, the overarching employers that pay him his wages? As long as he's playing well on the pitch, why does it? I mean, we could all be sitting here and all of our bosses, but still doing our jobs to the best of our ability. Does it matter to you?
I think if you're generalizing, I think as long as everyone do their job, then it's fair enough that, you know, I'm pretty sure there's also some players that don't think I'm the best bloke or whatever it is. As long as they work hard and do everything they can on the pitch, then I'm happy. Is the feeling better? Is everyone is aligned and happy and everyone likes each other? Probably, but it's all about the performances on the pitch.
Nathan, when you were captain of QPR, would you have gone down this route?
So this is a good question, actually, just because I think in this particular instance, all the stuff that he said, I think it's very hard to say that it's not true, but I think you can see that there's a breakdown between himself and, say, the ownership of the club, not necessarily the manager, not the people he sees on a day-to-day basis, but the people who are almost like dictating which way the club is going, which direction it's going in. And to be outspoken like this is very strong. Most people won't speak in that manner, but he also knows himself that he has the leverage. He's the captain of the football club and one of the most important players. And the stuff that he's saying, he knows the fans will be right behind him, because the fans themselves, they also have issues with the ownership group. You know, obviously previously with Joe Lewis and previous guys and so on, but he has that leverage. And as I say, it's interesting because I doubt that what he's saying on social media isn't what he's saying behind closed doors. And I think some of the posts that he's put forward, a lot of his squad mates have been sort of liking those posts and engaging with it from that standpoint, because it's very easy to not like something and just move on from it. So I personally wouldn't necessarily have done that out in the open, but I've had discussions behind the scenes. And just going from how I view him, I think he's probably spoken like this to the manager and maybe at times gone directly to the board as well. And ultimately, he's not concerned about the punishment anymore, because what they're going to do, are they going to sell him? Well, if they sell him, then that just brings even more trouble to the people up top, and I'm sure you'll find plenty of places to go as well.
What's his biggest beef here? I'm slightly confused with the message. Is his biggest beef they're not buying good enough players, or is his biggest beef the size of the squad, particularly in the Man City game and the bench.
I think that they didn't beef up in January. I suppose because of all the injuries they've got. He looked at the fact that.
Well, let me just read you the Man City quickly. This is not even on the bench, because on the bench was Odebert, Sarr, Matthias Tel, who come on. Richarlison injured. Richarlison, Maddison, Bergvall, Bentancur, Davies, Kulusevski, Spence, Danzo, Van de Ven, Kudos, Porro. Pretty much all first teamers. So that's not controlled by the board when all these players are injured.
The board are aware that all those players are injured,
and they were also able to put out a relatively strong side against Spurs. First 11, not perfect, but relatively strong. Against City, sorry. The bench, not so much. I get that. But here's one of the problems. That's a lot of players to come back fit again at some point. So it's not always as easy just to go out. They brought Gallagher in, but there's not always as easy to go out and say, we'll bring another 4 in January, and then this lot come back. You have budgets, you have wage structures. So I don't agree with the way the Spurs board and Daniel Levy have run the footballing side of things. But it's not as simple as just saying, we have 11, 12 first teamers injured, which they have. We need to go out and buy 4 players, because then you're stuck with all these guys in a humongous squad and a huge wage bill. And by the way, if he's worried about when his mate Van de Ven's out and others, maybe he could stay on the pitch a little bit more, Stevie, and 100%. Not be suspended.
100%. Listen, I don't get where players, and I don't care what area you play in, you're paid to play. And right now, Spurs, regardless of who's on the field or not, are struggling on the field. I think you should concentrate on doing your job properly, because he's not doing his job properly. And the other thing, he's talking about, well, it's always the same here. It didn't stop him signing his new contract 18 months ago.
Should Frank have been more, should he be stronger disciplinary with him? Should he be suspended for this game, for coming out and saying these sort of things?
No, you can't. You can't.
Well, he hasn't said the manager's terrible, is he?
You can't cut your but you can't cut your nose off to spite your face.
Yeah.
You know, if everybody's fit and if you've got somebody as good as the player you want to suspend, then on you go. Get after it. But sometimes you've got to just try and figure it out, and it's damage limitation, to be quite honest with you, because you can't afford the effect. You know, if you drop Romero, then what you're doing is you're affecting the other 10 or the other 11 that are going to start. But also, you can't be seen not to be doing anything. And there's no question, when one of your players speaks out against up the stairs, it reflects on you. So he's saying we dealt with it internally. I would love to know what he did, but he's stuck right in the middle, because he's got to make sure up the stairs are still with him. But he can't afford to get rid of Romero because he needs him.
By the way, and all those players that are on the injured list, a big chunk of them, I mean, Kulusevski and others have been out for a while. A big chunk of them have been available for the bulk of the season when Romero's been fit and playing, and the results were equally as bad. But I didn't hear him come out then and saying, he never came out then and said, well, this isn't good enough with the squad we've got. I think he knows deep down there is an issue with the board, but I think deep down it's a sort of thinly veiled pop at the manager as well, because I think he knows, while Spurs are not a great side, when most of those players are fit, they're certainly a better side than the results have shown. And that's pretty much on the manager.
We will, of course, be looking back at that game on the next edition of the show. It's the early start, isn't it? It's the early game.
It is, yes.
Be sure to join us. Slight time change. We're live at 2:30 tomorrow on ESPN+. Then on Sunday, Manchester City against Liverpool. This used to be a big game, didn't it, back in the day?
Still is.
Decide the title, but nowadays, though, it's all about both teams trying to turn things around a little bit. Should be a cracking match. Let's take a look at everybody's predictions for this tie. Everyone's gone for a draw. Apart from me, I think it's going to be goals galore in this. I think this is going to be a bit old school. It should be a thoroughly entertaining affair.
Well, neither can... Well, is it safe to say, actually, Liverpool look a little stronger defensively at the moment than City?
They could still creak. There are still cracks.
I thought... when Mike sent this out for the score, that's the first thing that came to my head.
What, they're strong.
City are not very good at the back. And then I thought, hold on a minute.
But I'm surprised you've gone for a draw, considering what we've seen from both teams of late.
That's the reason I've gone for a draw, because of what the two teams have been recently. I don't see either of them I don't see either of them scoring tons of goals, and I don't see either of them keeping a clean sheet. I don't see it. I mean, Haaland's struggled against Liverpool previously, but Haaland's not exactly on the greatest run of scoring goals.
Right.
I mean, who am I putting my money on?
2-2 is a lot of goals. That's 4 goals for a game that you've got 2 teams who can't score goals.
But that's because they're so bad defensively.
No, they can't score goals.
They're so bad defensively.
Right.
It's the key players. Obviously Haaland. The other players have been. Semenya's been scoring.
Yeah.
Marmoush is back.
Yeah.
You're just dying for Haaland to be dropped, didn't you? After the discussion we had,
There's no chance that he's getting dropped.
he was asked about it, wasn't he?
Yeah. Pep went, ooh, we'll have to see.
What's a lot of nonsense?
Oh, I know.
way.
But
There's no way.
Nathan 1-1.
Yeah, listen, I put 1-1, but in reality, I just don't see that 1-1. And let me give you a little history lesson on this fixture, especially from a Man City supporter perspective. So City won there, I think, in 2021. And that game happened when it was behind closed doors. And that's the season where Liverpool lost quite a few games at home. I think one was to Everton, a few others. And then the previous time they won at Anfield was in 2003. So I've spent this whole century thinking, maybe this is the year, maybe this is the year. Okay, it's definitely not the year. I think Liverpool have got this thing over City, and it's been so many different versions of Liverpool, so many different versions of the City, even some of the horror City sides that I played in. They just cannot get a win there. And as a consequence, them going there needing potentially to win this game to even try and keep just that 6-point gap to Arsenal, I've lost all my faith in this fixture. I reluctantly wrote 1-1 down because I don't like to write down City losses, but I can't help but think that's essentially what's going to end up as. But all being well, maybe City can nick a draw, but in reality, as I say, they've got no history there whatsoever, so I'm very reluctant to be confident to say that they can win again.
yeah, but if there was ever a time to go there and play them, I know City are not at their best certain areas of the team, but I mean, we'd never thought.
Said that for 20 years though, Craig. That's the issue.
Well, you can always change history. Liverpool have been. We would never have thought they'd been having the struggles that they've had the whole way through this season. And if City want to, I mean, obviously Liverpool have got the fight for the top 4 or Champions League now, and that is real. There's no doubt about that. But if City have any hope, and it's a smidge of a one at the moment, in keeping this title race honest, they simply have to win the game.
Well, they simply surely need to have to turn up in the second half, which is something they just haven't done of late. No shots in their last 3 games in the second periods of matches. What the heck is that about?
Honestly, Dan, you're preaching to the choir here. It's been insane. Since this year started, 2026, they've scored so many goals in that first half and have not scored a goal in the second half. I don't know how it works out. If it was the case of them not getting chances or whatever, I'd say, well, this is concerning. But they're just not doing anything. It's so strange. And the amount of opportunities they'll give to the opposition, then the game starts to change, the momentum switches. And they should have scored more goals in that time. And they just have not done it. And as a consequence, whichever side's playing against them, when it continues to trend in this manner, you've always got a chance. You'll keep pushing, you'll keep pushing, you'll keep pushing. Maybe you'll ride your luck to a certain extent, but you can score some goals and they're not putting games to bed. I think we saw that game against Spurs last week. When it was 2-0, it looked like one of the most comfortable 2-0s they'll have this whole season. Then before you know it, it's 2-2. They're walking off the pitch and it's more drop points. So yeah, I can't put my finger on it. Maybe some of the players, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's one of those stupid things in football. This trend has happened. And if it was 1 or 2 games, great. But we're looking at 6 games now and it doesn't add up. But if it's to be a side that's going to win a Premier League title, it has to stop this weekend.
Dan, we've sat here, particularly Craig and I, and talked about how vulnerable City are defensively. Mm-hmm. And we've said that not only do the opposition know that they're vulnerable, but they know they're vulnerable. So when they go out and they end up being 2-0 up, or 3-0, whatever it is, there is absolutely no question their mentality changes in the second half. And they go, right, let's just hold what we've got. But it doesn't suit them because, A, they can't defend, and it takes away all the things that they're actually best at and why they beat teams. And so they lose that. It comes to the opposition. Everything starts going the other way. It's just rolling down the hill. So it really is straightforward. They know that they can defend particularly well. And in trying to be smart about it and not leave gaps, they lose the initiative, right. They lose the rhythm, they don't have as much of the ball, and it just snowballs.
Even Wolves, I don't know if Nathan was at that game, but even Wolves at home, 2-0 up, get the worst team in the Premier League by quite some at the moment. And I'm not saying City were hiding behind the sofa in the second half, but Wolves had their chances.
Yeah.
Wolves did get up, they got their dander up, and they started pushing forward, they started whipping some balls into the box, and they kept Man City honest for large chunks of that second half. And this is a side up until not too long ago had 2 points, home and away. So it's not just decent teams that are keeping City honest in the second halves of games. It's actually the worst team in the Premier League were able to do it, albeit they didn't breach that Donnarumma goal.
It's been pretty good, hasn't it, to beat Bayern Munich? And the bookies reflect that when you take a look at who's going to win the Bundesliga. You have to put $100 on to win $1. Meanwhile, in the Champions League, they're in the talk amongst the favourites, of course, including Arsenal and PSG. And they're odds on to win the Pokal as they've made it through to the quarter-final stages as well. It's been pretty good for Vincent Kompany, of course, since taking over from the club at the start of last season. Jonathan Tah was asked about the impact he's made.
How do you think the team has evolved this season since you joined, obviously, during the Club World Cup? It feels like at your best, it's so difficult for anyone to breathe against you.
Yeah, when I came here, the first training session, I felt directly like the atmosphere and the energy and intensity, and the training was like so high. And obviously, when I talked to Max Eberl before I came, and also to the coach, the way they explained me everything was really like, yeah, like you said, we don't want anybody to breathe against us when we play. And if we do that, then it's really, really hard to play against us and to win against us, because our intensity is so high, and it doesn't matter the opponent. It's just like when we prepare how we want to play. And of course, sometimes, we have to prepare as well for the opponent, but it's more about what we want to do. And yeah, the coach is doing amazing.
Is there a point with Vincent Kompany, for example, where you go, when you're just watching him and you go, I understand now why he achieved what he did as a player? Like, what are the things that he has?
Yeah, he had a lot of things, but I think the most impressive is his leadership. When you watch like how people speak about him, who played with him, you can definitely see like, okay, now I understand why he's a great coach as well. The way he handles the team, the players, he knows really like how to talk to the players, and he just has this feeling for a locker room, what the guys need right now. And then, yeah, the tactical side and the defending side, especially for me as a defender, I can learn a lot, but it doesn't look like a lot. But there's so many details that he's seeing and adjusting that you just improve.
What kind of things is it? Is it like body position, timing?
Timing, body position, also not only individually, but as a back four, like how we're moving, how many distances between us, how much distance between us and the midfielders, like the way we are communicating this. So a lot of small details that lead at the end to something that looks great, and it's just those small details who make it look like so big and such a big difference to other teams.
Is he talking about the next Manchester City manager, Nadim?
Well, the news article that came out last week suggests he's not one of the main three that could be up, because I think that was Maresca, that was Xabi Alonso, that was Cesc Fabregas. But I think, as far as most City fans would be concerned, I think the job that he's doing at Bayern Munich and his connection to Man City is one way you'd hope at some point in the future get a chance to sort of test that out. I think the club means a lot to him. I think the Premier League does as well. And when you listen to, say, someone like Jonathan Tah talk about that sort of like attention to detail, it seems like he's the type of head coach and a modern head coach which will be going forward within this world of football. So, yeah, maybe this isn't the right time, but that's because he's doing such a great job for one of the biggest clubs in world football in Bayern Munich. And I'm sure until, they're winning league titles year in, year out again, and he's perhaps win the Champions League, maybe he won't be satisfied there. So I think given the fact he's only 40 years old, there's time to wait. But when he arrives, should he arrive, I'm sure he'll be more than ready.
Can I just ask him who he wants? His best friend, Vincent, or someone else?
Yeah.
Do I want Vincent Kompany to manage Man City?
Who would you choose?
Yeah.
No, who would you choose, though?
Of those three, I think for me, Atu Mares could do it at City before as an assistant coach. That's fine. But I would actually quite like to see something a bit different, and I would go for Cesc Fabregas. I think even though he's doing the job at Como that not many people are like really that impressed with, I think he's transformed the way that side has played from last year where it's fighting relegation to being in around European places now. And again, he's one of those like head coaches, like Kompany, who's obsessed with like attention to detail, like obsessed with the game itself. I think he's got like a great personality to try and lead at that sort of position. And you know, he's played for some of the biggest clubs in Europe as well. So I think that could be a nice little introduction for him to come to the Premier League, test himself, but with the sort of confidence and the resources to be successful. But you know, that's an ideal. Maybe his third choice.
But Kompany would be,
for me,
if there was a short
him.
list of four, Kompany wouldn't be number one on your list.
Yeah, Kompany would be number one without question. I don't think there'd be many City supporters who would say it's not right. I think maybe when he was like coming through at Burnley, maybe that was an issue. But to do a great job like he's doing at Bayern Munich, and you say, oh, it's easy, it's Bayern, you should be winning the leagues all the time. But it's the way that he's done it that's been very, very impressive. So I think Kompany number one, and for me, Fabregas too.
Yeah.
And if he did come back to England, we wouldn't be having any of this Vanson nonsense. Trust me.
None of the Ray Vans.
There'd be none of this Vanson German. That's how we. Look, I think
putting arguments across. The Kompany one's very strong, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Alonso could be strong. You know, Maresca for his. I don't know, something about him. I don't know if that's got any longevity. Come in and probably start moaning and groaning about something. I think the Vincent Kompany scenario was slightly tainted by his time at Burnley, the season they were in the Premier League. And I think whilst you could accuse him of, Burnley were relegated and blah, 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 I think what he was then was, rather than being a bad coach, was naive as a young manager. He naively wanted to come up, because they had won the championship with X amount of points and played this great football.
Yeah.
And he believed he could come up and do the same in the Premier League, and they got found out. So I think the one thing you could have accused him then is his inexperience in management, of being naive. I don't think that painted him as a bad coach. It just, he'd have to learn from that it's a sort of horses for courses, and obviously the way that he wants to play, he can implement that much easier at the highest level with better players than what he would. So I think that's the one criticism of him at Burnley. But at no point did you say, well, I don't think he's a very good manager or coach. It's just, I think he went about that all the wrong way. And luckily for him, it never knocked his stock and he got this opportunity.
Yeah, if he was one of the four, I would go with.
Who would have a?
But you wouldn't have said.
Who would have
I wouldn't have said that one.
Right, but here's the thing, Nedum. If this was a sell to the Man City fans without the Bayern Munich job, and it was kind of off the back of Burnley, how much does that change it, or would that have changed it?
Yeah, I think it changes a lot, to be honest, because I think the Bayern Munich job, in terms of, say, jobs in and around Europe, is one of the trickiest because the bar is so high. They're expected to be successful and expected to do it in a certain manner as well. And I think the fact that he's gone there, I think he's doing very well to manage up towards the board, coach down to the players. And then I think, speaking with Archie as well, he manages the media really, really well as well. So I think he has the personality for that type of situation, to be at the forefront of something that is significant, to where like success is the only sort of like thing you can celebrate as such. So I think if he was off the back of Burnley, people would have had their doubts. Would he be able to deal with a different type of player? Because yes, Burnley had some good players, but they didn't have like internationals from the front all the way to the back. People who've won the Champions League before, people who've won Premier Leagues before. But now he's playing and he's coaching, some of the most significant players from Europe and around the world for Bayern Munich, with that pressure of having to essentially win every single game. You go on a run where you don't win a couple of games, it's a crisis. Like, in some ways you could argue that's kind of Man City in the Premier League. So yes, without that trip over to Munich and the success that he's had, maybe there'd be a few more questions and people did want him to come back. but I don't think he'd be coming back with the same sort of fanfare as he would do, for example, if he was to come this summer, which I don't think is going to happen, by the way. But if he does arrive in the future, I think there'll be a lot of very, very excited parties as opposed to doubters.
Say Pep leaves, Slot leaves. Who would you expect to be the better coach? Xabi Alonso at Liverpool or Vincent Kompany at City?
Put your feet up for this one.
That's a tough one.
Oh, set your timer.
I would have to go with Kompany.
Really?
All the things Craig's talking about with Burnley, I get that, but the one problem I didn't know whether he would handle it at Bayern Munich is the size of the club and the status of the players. At the end of too many people get caught up on coaching. Listen, there are basics of coaching. Yes, there are people like Pep, Mourinho at his pomp, who do little things that nobody thinks about. But generally, coaching it's about your X's and O's, your basics. The biggest clubs, it's about handling the players the right way, picking the right team, and handling upstairs. And Kompany has absolutely proven at Bayern Munich that he can do all of those. So Alonso's gone to Real Madrid and hasn't been able to control the players. So why would I not go with Kompany?
That's apples and oranges, Stevie. They're much more difficult.
But at the same time, if you're putting an argument forward, the answer to the question, did he deal with the players, is no. And Kompany's is 100% yes.
We're clipping off all these negatives you said about Alonso over the last few weeks, ready for any time.
I just go with facts, Danny boy.
Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Craig is here, as is Stevie, Nadem as well. Here we go then. Who has the worst defence at the moment, City or Liverpool? Nadem?
Oh, God. It's tough, that, isn't it? According to second half, I'll say City, but I think, oh, God. Do you know what? I'll say Liverpool. Just to be nice. City's record is actually a bit better, so I'll say Liverpool for now.
OK. Stevie?
I tell you what, it would have been a dead heat had they not signed Gay.
OK.
But they did.
They did. So Liverpool have the worst defence?
Agree with Adam.
Craig, do you concur?
Liverpool.
No right back. No left back. Two centre backs to Thailand. They've got Gay.
You got a left back.
Who?
Kirkis.
I think you said a left back.
Andy Robertson. Van Dijk.
Craig, which new manager has been more impressive so far, Rosinha or Carrick?
Oh.
What are you giggling at?
Well, once had more than double the amount of games.
Yes. He's only lost one, isn't he, Rosinha? Or two?
Yeah. No, I haven't say I've been super impressed by Rosinha. He's got good results. Has Carrick just been a bit of a, I don't know. I'm going to say the younger manager, Rosinha.
Okay.
We're going to call him a young man again.
Yeah, indeed. Nice young man.
I don't know, but he's like just that could.
Stevie, you disagree?
I thought it was dead easy.
Who would you say?
It has to be Carrick, isn't it?
Right.
City, Arsenal.
Perfect so far.
We beat Fulham as well. Perfect.
Nadem, you get the tie-breaking vote.
Yeah, I think I'd go for Carrick because he's not been booed by his fans yet, so I think I'm going to say Carrick for now.
Okay.
But there's plenty of time for that.
There you go. Is it a big deal, Stevie, that teams stay on their side of the pitch when warming up and preparing for the match? Is it disrespectful if staff and players happen to wander to their opposition side during warm-ups? If you're wondering what this is about, this is Rosinha saying that Arsenal were disrespectful during the warm-ups of the second leg of the Carabao Cup tie because Arsenal's coaches were on Chelsea's side of the pitch.
So the only Chelsea coaches that would be on the other side of the pitch, as Arteta pointed out, would be the goalkeeper. And every single team, forever and a day, has had this problem. I certainly had it when we were in MLS. And the one thing that they would do is the goalie coach would say to you, look, you don't mind, because we did the same. You know, our goalies wanting to hit some balls long, so you can't. You're hitting the ball into the opposition's half when they're warming up.
Right.
So you just try and be sensible about it and get them to the side, and yeah, they can. Sometimes it goes astray, but We get that. So there's no way on God's earth that the Arsenal coaches have set up their grids not in their own half.
Okay.
It's not possible.
Right.
And if there's any Arsenal coaches on his half, they might be standing here, past this line, if you're lucky. So it's a lot of garbage.
We were going to get some footage, but Mike couldn't be bothered.
Yeah. Just shut up.
Wow.
Shut up and do your job. And try
Too
to
happy
listen.
piping on about Tottenham for.
Naden, what do you make of this debacle?
No. Do you know, I wish we did have the video, and maybe I should have researched this myself, because if they are coming across into the area with the cones and stuff, then yeah, sure, that's disrespectful, but is this something that they do all the time? Has it been Arteta's way forever? I'm not sure. So for me, if it's a goalkeeping coach and they're sort of just fetching balls from the goalkeeper, absolutely fine, but, you know, listen, if you're losing the game there and they're in your head from that standpoint, what chance do you really have? That's my opinion.
I didn't think that affected how they approached the game, did you?
No. Naden.
Go back to the last question. Carrick. Not having that.
Naden, wouldn't you say Ryan Cherky is everything you think Phil Foden is and then some? He can actually dribble, his defender, pick out a pass and do more than just stealing goals from Haaland. Wow.
Yeah, stealing goals from Haaland is a wild take, by the way. That's not what Phil Foden has done previously, to be honest with you. I think the two players, like, they're both very, very skilled and talented, but they just got different style. Like, Phil Foden's somebody who stays ahead of the ball. He wants to be in around that 10 position. Whereas Cherky's somebody that likes to roam a bit more. You know, he is a better dribbler. I think that is fair, and he's got a little bit more presence about him. But the quality that the two have, like, you know, it's special. I think if City can find a way to play the two of them together and to play well, then you're going to see some of the best, like, 8s and 10s, I think, in the league. But yeah, I wouldn't be comparing them like that and saying one is better than the other. I just think they've got two completely different skill sets.
For the panel, if you could do one Winter Olympic sport, which would it be and why? There's a road I could go down, but I don't want to.
Tell me what sports there are, because I don't watch it.
There's ski jumping.
Never. I'm not doing that in a month of Sundays.
Ice dancing.
Nah, fall over.
Have you ever ice skated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you go on?
I wouldn't call it ice skating.
I'm horrible.
I can't stand up.
It's just.
Well, I can stand up. I'm not great going round the right, but I can.
But you can go from A to B.
Yes.
Wow, I can't even do that.
You can't do it.
I'm the one on the side doing like that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
No, I can go from A to B, but I'm not.
Horrible.
I'm not great, but I can. But I do have a tendency. It's a great concern whenever I've been when the kids were a little younger. That once I decide I'll get a bit confident and I let go and I'm gone.
Yes.
Can't
Then,
stop.
unfortunately, I've skittled some families over youngsters.
I've actually got video. I've got video years ago, back in England. We went, and I actually couldn't stop. And I was picking kids up and going like that as I was running through.
Out the way.
Aye. I need to ask Ellen if she can find it.
Imagine if you're young, when he's younger, no teeth. This constant going right out. Yeah.
Hold on, I don't.
It's scary, man.
I don't take the teeth out with a mice skate.
It's got to be curling, isn't it?
Curling, obviously, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
It's a bit like indoor bowling, isn't it? It's similar.
Well, you're not going to do anything that's like super dangerous.
Right. So curling.
Curling.
I mean, remember Eddie the Eagle?
Yes, yes.
British guy who basically just went down the what do you call that one?
The slope?
The down. Yeah, it's not the slope. It's not the slope.
Downhill's that
Ski
one,
jump.
Yeah, ski jump, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a name for it. Anyway, he went
Jump.
over and just sort of flopped.
Yes, he did. They made a movie about it.
Bobsleigh, that'd be good.
Bobsleigh,
Sit
yeah.
at the back panicking.
Bobsleigh, no chance.
There were, what we were watching the
Luge.
opening ceremony, there were 5 from Trinidad and Tobago. I think 5 or 7 athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were watching the opening ceremony.
Yeah, before I came in.
Cool runnings.
All run-ins, yeah. Feel the rhythm. Naden?
Yeah, so as somebody that was born in Nigeria that hates the cold, Winter Olympics isn't really my thing.
No.
And also, having seen the ski slopes when I lived in Utah at Salt Lake City, which hosted the Winter Olympics, I think they've got it coming up in the next few years as well. Most of those sports are absolutely no-go for me at all. Oof. So let's just go for the extension of the cliche. If Jamaica can have a bobsleigh team, maybe can have a Nigerian one as well.
Yes.
I'll do a bit of that and nothing else.
Yeah, okay. Naden, have you ice skated before, though? Have you done that with the kids?
I'm a bit like Stevie. I have been on ice with skates before. To say that it was an elegant experience would be an exaggeration. And so, as a consequence, I prefer to just stick on land. Yeah, not for me that.
Do you remember Xhaka was a goalkeeper for the Hartford Wolfpack?
No.
Yeah, they did.
There's I've seen the picture.
They took him out onto the and because Petr Cech was a hockey goalkeeper, wasn't he? Once he retired,
Really?
So they want to see how Xhaka would get on.
So did he actually play in the game?
No, he didn't play in the game. He went to practice.
Oh, he went to practice. All right. Oh, silly me.
They had pictures, didn't they?
Yeah.
He was like, he was massive, wasn't he? Because he had all this gear on.
Yes, yeah. Everyone on the panel, including Dan, participates in the Great British Bake Off. Who is winning, who is doing terrible, and who is exceeding expectations?
Oh, well, I think.
Burley, you baked bread this week, you were telling us.
No,
it's a fascinating story.
forget him, right?
I am at it.
He's out. He can barely put a slice of toast in the toaster.
Yes, yeah.
Toast and beans. That's it.
So you're bread.
I don't mind cooking.
Yeah?
I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I don't mind cooking. I've been cooking, making my own bread.
Better than
not been the
Kay.
last. Huh?
Between you and Kay, wouldn't it?
She's not in the equation.
Everyone on the panel.
Oh, on the panel, beg your pardon.
Kay's not great. I live with Kay. She never cooked anything.
No?
No.
Well, that's not what she tells me.
Well, I don't remember her baking anything
No?
exciting. No.
Well, I need to have a word there.
No. Nathan?
I don't think I'd win it, but I think I'll probably exceed a few expectations. Like I can get a bit OCD sometimes when it comes down to the cooking and stuff like that. So yeah, I think
like a challenge to me,
I'd go all in. I don't do half measures.
What would your speciality be?
No. I really don't know. I really don't know what speciality be at all. But listen, give everything a good go. Don't worry about that, Dan Thomas.
You're not really a cook, are you? But
I could do it.
But you're definitely going to be better than
No,
him.
I'm better than him.
Yeah,
Baking's not that difficult. You just follow the instructions, isn't it? That's it. This amount of flour, this amount of sugar, bish bash bosh, put it in the oven, it's done.
Yeah, but you're talking
It's all
about
timing in it. It's timing.
You're talking
guys.
about
You've
a
got a
man.
timer.
Yeah, but
No, I'm not saying for him. He
no,
would.
but you're talking about a man that's got a bag of penny pasta.
Yes.
And it tells you on the side 8 to 10 minutes. And he still puts it in with his good lady for 25.
Well, if I was making it for you, I'd put it in for that amount of time.
But 25, it tells you on the packet 8 to 10. If you put it in for 25 minutes, it just splits.
Yeah.
Some people don't like it when it's only done for 8 minutes.
How long would you put a cake in the oven for?
You put pasta in.
I need to ask Gil.
A couple of days. There it is. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll be back tomorrow to reflect on some games, including Manchester United against Spurs. I get confused when the Liverpool game is as well. That is on Sunday, of course, plus Barcelona playing early. We'll be here, Stevie. You're going to